Hi, I'm Richard from Electric Classic Cars, and on this week's episode we have the best of the best. These Land Rovers here are the ultimate Land Rovers, I think, on the planet. All the options list has been ticked and the quality is amazing. So keep on watching to find out more. So we got contacted with a challenge to build the world's fastest Land Rover Defender. But these aren't any old Land Rover Defender 110s. These were already pretty quick. They had an LS3 V8 in. They'd been built by one of the premier Land Rover Defender specialists on the planet. So they're pretty nice to start with. But we could do better. We could make them faster. When these arrived with us, they already had that LS3 V8 in. It was a glorious sounding engine as they are, but well, they 430 horsepower. And before I get into what we've put in underneath, I just want to show you the quality of the build of this. The interior is just insane. Check that out. Doesn't that look lovely? I mean, luxurious and Defender never normally sit well in the same sentence until you get in the car like this. So inside here now, I mean, it's just a sea of leather and Alcantara. In fact, I'm going to say a few words now that Land Rover Defender, or just Land Rover owners in general, won't understand. Luxury, comfort, and obviously power as well, with the power we got in this thing. But it's a glorious place to be sitting, and to be honest, we haven't changed much inside here apart from the instrumentation. Obviously that's more EV orientated now, and this center console. There's a lot going on inside this center console, because not only have we got things like, you know, the gear shifter and the, you know, high-low lock diff thing gone, replaced by one just direction knob, so reverse, neutral and drive, but also we've had to re-keep, if you like, the switches for the winch, air compressor, front diff locker, rear diff locker. But more importantly, underneath all this here is an aircon unit. So we got there aircon for the rear, because normally in the Defender you've got heating and aircon that comes out of vents here, but the poor old people in the back, they need aircon in the back. So there's another aircon unit inside here blowing that cool air into the back there. And also we've got V2L, so vehicle to load, in this vehicle. So there's a couple of 3-pin plugs at the back as well. Now, it's all very well having a luxurious interior like that and body hugging bucket seats, but you've got to back it up with a bit of power. And that's essentially, as I mentioned before, what these two vehicles here, which are a mirror image of each other, exactly the same spec, these Land Rovers, just different colour. They both came with that LS3 V8 in, and for those that don't know, the LS3 V8 is kind of the go-to crate engine that tuners put in the high-spec Land Rover Defenders. It's around about 430 horsepower, but it's getting a little bit old hat now. I've seen some with LT1s in, a little bit more modern V8s, superchargers on as well. But there's a distinct difference between the power output of those vehicles, and I've seen them with like 8-gear automatics and all sorts, just to overcome the downsides of an engine like that, which is that it's only 600 horsepower or 400 horsepower, whatever, for a short space of time. Because if you drew it out as a graph, essentially your power is going up and up and up, and there's your peak there. Whereas electric, you've got your maximum torque from 0 RPM, so it's like power all from the off. And what we put in this Land Rover Defender, and the other one as well, is a large Tesla drive unit from a Performance P100D, and that sits amidship underneath there. So where the transfer box sat, that's essentially where that 600 horsepower Tesla LDU sits, and that then drives the wheels via the rear prop and the front prop. And as far as grip is concerned, you might be saying, oh, but you know, you're going to lose some off-road ability because you haven't got low and high and lock diff, etc. Well, first of all, you don't need low and high, because you've got all that power from really low in the RPM range anyway. And as far as lock diff is concerned, well, a standard Land Rover Defender only locks the central diff. Normally the the axles themselves are open diff, and what we've done is we've put an LSD, limited slip diff, in the middle in that Tesla drive unit, and obviously the two axles have air lockers anyway, so you can lock the front and rear axle anyway, so this will be fantastic off-road. Now all that power ain't going to go anywhere without a battery pack, so what do we put in this? Well, it's our standard Land Rover Defender battery pack. It's 110 kilowatt hours because it's a Defender 110. See what I've done there? And that is split between a front battery pack and a rear battery pack. So here is, what is it, around about 60% of the battery, I think it is, in the front, and attached to that you've got the electric power steering, because obviously when you take the engine out you lose a lot of other things that are running off belts, things like power steering, vacuum for the brakes, heating for instance, because obviously an engine is a very inefficient way of turning energy into motion, but it's quite an efficient way of just generating noise and heat. So with an engine you get a lot of heat as a byproduct. So there's a lot of things on the periphery here which are replacing those things that you lose on an engine. So you've got your power steering here, electric power steering, you've got a vacuum pump down here, we've got the charger. So that is a bi-directional charger, so it's 11 kilowatt three-phase, 7 kilowatt single phase on the AC side of things, and then DC side of things it is up to I think 100 kilowatt charging on the DC, but it's also providing up to 6 kilowatt out as AC as well, so you can run things off those 3-pin plugs inside, and also the charge socket when you press that V2L button that's inside. Also here we've got a radiator, obviously, because you still need to cool a motor and inverter, and also the battery pack, especially when you are running high amps out of it, when you're driving really fast and accelerating a lot, or when you are fast charging. So you got a radiator for the battery, header tank over there, radiator for the motor and inverter, header tank over there. Also this has AC obviously, and as far as the heat pump side of things is concerned, we've got a heat pump which is essentially running the AC for the cabin, but also the cooling for the battery. So the heat pump is actually super cooling the battery when it needs to as well, so it's not just relying upon a radiator and a fan. And I think that's pretty much it in here. So around the back, I'll just, if your knees are going to take it, Tim, you can bend down and see if you can get a shot of the rear battery pack. Now right underneath there is the rest of the battery packs, and that's in the same location as the original petrol tank, but it sits a little bit higher. But the grass is soaking wet, lots of mud, and Tim is refusing to lie down and take a photo, aren't you, Tim?
Well, I might not get up again.
Well, that's true. Now, before we go out for a quick spin, I know Tim's itching to go out and get
Yeah, come on, let's go.
You want some food as well? He's hungry. He's hangry. I want to talk about tyres, because a Land Rover Defender is probably the worst vehicle in the world to convert to electric as far as range is concerned, because it's got the aerodynamics of a garden shed, it's got the rolling resistance of a Sherman tank, and it's a little bit heavy. But there's certain things you can do to help, if you like. Obviously, you know, if it was up to me and I was optimizing the range, I'd take off the exoskeleton roll cage, the spotlights on the roof, you know, winch and other bits and pieces that, you know, don't necessarily help with the poor aerodynamics. But tyres are the biggest thing. Now, as far as the tyres are concerned, there's a number of reasons why I've changed to the BF Goodrich Trail Terrains on the black one, and we're going to do the same to the grey one very shortly, that aren't just range. So, number one, when you're driving an electric Land Rover Defender, it's nice and quiet, and then all you hear as you're going along the road is ooh from the tyres when you've got these stupid mud pluggers on. And there's no need to have these things on the road. These are a 100% off-road tyre, not for the road. They are noisy, the handling is woeful. So number one reason why we've changed to the Trail Terrains is because the noise is stupid. Number two is the Trail Terrains are much better tyre on road, and these are an 80-20 tyre, 80% on road, 20% off-road. So handling wise, these are better as well. The other reason is because as far as range is concerned, these give you 20% better range, or to put it into petrol and diesel world, your miles per gallon is 20% more with these on than those. So these save money, and if you think they're not very good off-road, check on the link above, because we've been off-roading in the Pyrenees and basically all over Wales in Trail Terrains on my Land Rover Defender, and they are fantastic. So for noise reasons, for handling reasons on road, and for fuel economy, Trail Terrains are awesome tyres. So BF Goodrich Trail Terrains on this, these soon will be as well. But on that note, time to get in the car and go
test drive.
Just go and grab some food, mate. I'm starving. Right. So for those that aren't familiar with how to start, I was going to say an electric car then, but an electric Land Rover, it's as simple as just turning the key, turn the heating off there. That's it. There's no having to crank it or anything like that. As soon as the ignition comes on, you're away. And as soon as you put it in gear, I mean, we've got an electric parking brake on our vehicles, so there's no handbrake in the way, and usually that's kind of like where Tim's leg is, so it feels more spacious. And again, that's a weird thing to say on a Defender, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's no clutch pedal, there's no handbrake in the way, and there's no gear shifter. So yeah, so to start, you just turn the key, put it into gear, and as soon as you put it into, you hear that?
To drive, yeah.
As soon as you put it into drive, you hear the electric handbrake go off. So you don't actually have to turn the handbrake off. It's pretty idiot proof in that respect, and that's it. So you put it into D, handbrake automatically comes off, and away you go. Now the other obvious benefit obviously with electric is no gears, and it's the torque. I should have told you to put your head back there. Is your neck all right, old man?
Well, that shouldn't do that in a Defender, should it?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? I'm getting used to it now, which I think is dangerous. But yeah, this,
good God,
that never gets old, does it?
Good
that
God.
Never gets old. 10 years.
So the first thing I notice about this vehicle, we've been in it for a couple of minutes now, is it's quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really quiet.
There's a lot of sound deadening in it because of when that LS3 V8 in,
Yeah.
they had a lot of sound deadening anyway. But yeah, we put a bit of sound deadening in where there wasn't any before. So
like you were saying earlier, the tyres are quiet, so there's minimal road noise from the tyres.
Yeah.
There's obviously no noise from the exhaust engine because we don't have that anymore. And I can remember being in non-converted Defenders, and you have to shout, don't you?
yeah, I mean we're not even raising our voices here.
Yeah. So we get in range on this then?
Now we put the tyres on around about, depends how you drive it. You've got to be careful saying range figures with Defenders, because the aerodynamics above say 55 miles an hour really starts to take its toll. But driving normally on A roads like this, anything from 180 to 200 mile range.
And you've proven as well, haven't you, that if you were off-roading this, so if you were going on a sort of crawling off-road day out, you'd be getting far excess of that as well.
I did 2 days of off-roading over the Christmas period of my Defender, and by the time I got back there was 25% left in, and I was 2 days non-stop, from literally morning to when it got dark, off-roading. But yeah, we did range tests in the winter in this, and there's snow on the tops of the hills here, and we were getting around about 180 to 200 mile range. But over the years we've done a lot of range, analysis, if you like, of vehicles, and okay, the tyres are the biggest thing, but things like the spotlights, we've got 4 big spotlights on the round ones on the top, and we've changed to some Britpark Defender spotlights, which are more, they're LED ones for a start, but they're more like a letterbox, more aerodynamic, and changing to those was 4% difference in range just on roof spots alone.
It's amazing, isn't it? The aerodynamics play such a...
Well, if you think about it, right, travelling at say 60 miles an hour, if you held 4 plates out, because they are big spots, 4 plates out, that's a lot of drag.
Well, you can feel it when you put your hand out the window, can't you? Yeah. So I'm really enjoying these comfy bucket seats with the leather on them. They're really nice, aren't they? And the leather and everything else in this, it's a really luxurious Defender.
You just said luxurious and Defender in the same sentence there, Tim. It's not said very often.
Not many of those around, are there?
No.
And you've got the aircon in the front and the back, you say, haven't you?
Yeah, and it's separately controlled as well. So if the people at the back want more cooling than the front, they've got the control systems just in the back of the centre console here.
Cool. Is it time we try the 0 to 60?
Oh, go on then. Hang on, let me just...
Come on, we're on a nice, quiet bit of road. There's a nice little straight here.
Well,
I'll get my stopwatch out.
My Defender 90 is 3.4 seconds 0 to 60.
Okay.
So I reckon this is going to be 4.5, something like that.
Shall I shout? Go.
Yeah, and then I'll shout when I'm doing 60.
Okay.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
And stop!
That was scary, especially when you're not looking at the road. 4.5 seconds.
4.5. That'll do. 4.5 seconds. That's pretty quick for a big old Defender 110. I don't think I want to go much faster than that in a Defender 110.
Oh no, we're not doing that again. I think we'll live with that. We could probably better it, but nah, it's close enough.
Nah, let's say 4.5 seconds and just call it a day. Right, finally got to the calf. Starving. What do you think of that? You like that?
It's amazing, isn't it? I think the biggest thing for me is how it performs when you think about how big a vehicle it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that did what? 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, but it sort of handles and stops well as well, doesn't it?
You've always got to upgrade the suspension and the brakes to cope with the amount of power we're giving it. I mean, this has got old man Emu upgraded suspension. It's got massive 6-pot Alcon calipers on the front, 4-pots on the rear. I mean, that's why it stops like a Defender normally doesn't stop. And don't forget, you've got the regenerative braking of the motor on top of that again. So this stops on a dime.
Yeah.
So
and it's got it all, isn't it? Because it's comfortable, it's luxurious, it's quick.
It is.
I think the owner's going to be really pleased with it, aren't they, when they get testing that out?
I can't wait to see the customer's face when he puts his foot down for the first time. And I know what's coming, and I hopefully I'm going to get the opportunity to see that and film it. These are great sleepers because it looks like a normal, a nice Land Rover Defender, but you put your foot down, and especially that 0 to 30 is insane. It's, as Paddy McGuinness said on Top Gear on my Land Rover Defender, it's the most fun he's had in any vehicle ever on Top Gear, and he's driven all sorts. For the first, what did he say? The first 5 seconds, this car was bonkers. That's what he said, wasn't it? So I think that's a great, a great point to note. A great
point to finish on.
Point to finish on. Thank you very much. I think that's a great point to finish on. So on that note, hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.